They're ambitious, they're driven, they want the best for their kids and their families, but they also want to feel accomplished as business owners and as women. Hey, boss mama! Welcome to the show empowering mompreneurs to thrive in business and motherhood. Let's get started. Hey, boss mama! Welcome to the very first episode of the Hey, Boss Mama podcast. I'm your host, Manushka Elephant, and I couldn't be more excited to have you here. This podcast has been on my heart for a while, and this podcast has been on my heart for a while now, and I've been for the last 6 months. And today I'm going to share my journey with you, how I decided to launch it, why I'm launching it now, and everything that's happened since I decided to start Hey Boss Mama. Let's dive in. And it actually starts exactly 1 year before I came up with this podcast. I became a mom. And as you probably know, this changed everything for me. I thought I knew what to expect, that I was really prepared because I had read all the books, I listened to a bunch of podcasts, but I really focused on my pregnancy and giving birth. I had no idea what it would actually be like to take care of a newborn, the mental load and the absolute amount of work that it also represents. I didn't have girlfriends around me doing that right around that time, and most of them actually had kids way before me. And I do have family that have a lot of kids, but they're all living far away. So it did come as a surprise, especially the tiredness. Like, it's really, really hard. And maybe part of it was because I had a kid at 38 and at 25. We don't always have a straight line. And that's the path that I had, basically. And so my partner and I, we also wanted to be really as present as possible for our son, especially for that whole first year. We were lucky that we do have family support around us, with especially my mother and his sisters. We didn't want strangers or hired help to take care of him. We really wanted to be as much as possible just us. And luckily we were able to do that because I didn't have to go back to work, because obviously I was my own boss, and also because my partner was able to support our family. So we're very lucky in that sense. And I know it's not something that's available to everyone. And I really feel for families that don't have a choice and they have to go to daycare. Here in Switzerland, it often starts around 4 months old, and we just didn't want that kind of situation. So fast forward, I'm in that situation where I think I can do it all. I thought that I could be a full-time stay-at-home mom and at the same time run my marketing agency. But obviously, that's not that simple. And I realized that the way I was used to working wasn't going to cut it anymore. I had to find a better way to juggle my schedule, my workload, and most importantly, just be present for my son who needed me 24/7. And so I needed to figure out a new way to do things. I also decided that I was going to extend my maternity break for a full year. And I did take on some work with some past clients, and I did also take on some coaching clients. But it was really something that I did on the side and not as a full-time thing. And so one of the things that really was important for me was to connect with other mom entrepreneurs, because I knew that I wasn't the first one in this situation. Other ones have gone through it before, and there's so much that I can learn from their experiences. And so my first thought was really just to connect with others and get conversations going where they would share about their stories, and I would get a better understanding of what kind of hurdles they had to go through and how they overcome them. I also thought that this is something that would interest other mom entrepreneurs. Obviously, there's a lot of us going through this, and we're sometimes so much into the nitty-gritty of the everyday, into that silo, that we forget to just take a pause and breathe and think about how we can do things better. And so that's why basically I had the idea for this podcast, for Hey Boss Mama, because I wanted to share those conversations and be able to connect with as many mom entrepreneurs as I can. We can really learn from each other. And so the more I thought about this idea of the podcast, I also understood that it wasn't just going to be. And so the more I thought about this idea of the podcast, I also realized that it wasn't just going to be that. It was going to be so much more than a podcast because I wanted to have that sense of community where we can connect. And that's why I decided to also start a Facebook group. And at the moment it's growing and I already see that there are connections forming, partnerships, and that's one of the things I just find so beautiful is that it's becoming something bigger than myself, where women from different places in the world even are finding each other, finding commonalities, but also opportunities for them to collaborate on projects. And that's just something that I find incredibly beautiful and rewarding. And so we have that space where we can ask questions, promote our businesses, and really just build a genuine community together. And then what happened is that between the conversations that I was having for the podcast and the Facebook group, I also noticed that there were a number of topics and themes that kept coming back. And basically, it's that we're all striving for that balance between our ambitions and our family lives, but that every situation is unique and really depending on the age of the kids and the support system that we have and our resources that we have, we're not able to build things at the same pace or with the same ease. But one of the things that really is common that a lot of mom entrepreneurs feel isolated, and that's whether they're working alone or with a team. Because even if they have people around them, they don't necessarily understand the challenges that they have and that their workload doesn't stop at 6 o'clock when they leave the office. So, having a space where we can share our wins without guilt, we can seek advice without any judgment, and we can celebrate each other. That's really one of the things that I'm hoping to accomplish with everything I'm building around Hey Boss Mama. Lastly, I also noticed that's really common to most mom entrepreneurs is that feeling of overwhelm. I've spoken with mom entrepreneurs with booming businesses and who still feel like they're drowning, constantly trying to keep up. They're just exhausted. And that's why I'm diving into topics like time management, prioritization, and goal setting with the podcast and the mastermind. Because while we can do anything, we can't do everything at once. And so, even though I was really eager to launch this podcast, I knew I needed to start the Hey Boss Mama Mastermind first. I wanted to create a small, supportive group where mompreneurs could set clear goals, stay accountable, and really grow together. And so last September, I launched the first edition of the Hey Boss Mama Mastermind with 8 amazing women from different backgrounds and industries. The results were incredible. New ideas, collaborations, and a weekly space to connect with peers. Each participant also got to be in the hot seat, talking about her pain points, bringing up questions or ideas that she had about her business. And we really got to brainstorm around it and work through ideas, think outside the box. One of my favorite part was actually helping participants feel confident about sharing their stories and missions with larger audiences. It was a reminder that my mission is to be a cheerleader for mompreneurs, sharing their journeys, encouraging them, and helping them thrive. So if you're ready to find clarity, set goals, and make progress, check out the link in the show notes. Now, I won't lie, getting this podcast off the ground wasn't easy. It took me 6 months because I was battling imposter syndrome and It took me 6 months because I was battling imposter syndrome and perfectionism. At first, I thought I had to launch a video podcast to do it right. I was listening to all the I was listening to all the advice about podcasting, and as a marketing expert, I also knew that video is the medium that is going to be pushed on all the platforms. I felt the pressure to look like I knew what I was doing and to read a teleprompter and to seem natural doing it. It just wasn't right for me and I don't have that expertise. I'm obviously not a TV personality or an influencer and I just didn't know how to do it properly and do it in a way that I felt comfortable. What really freed me was deciding to do what felt right to me, and that is starting with this audio podcast. Motherhood and entrepreneurship have really taught me to let go of control and just start. But it did take me a little while to just feel like I was ready because, yeah, I was learning. I was trying all kinds of stuff. I even took a podcast course. And that whole thought process, I think that was what I needed to go for because I learned so much during those 6 months, not just about the technical aspects, but also in terms of mindset and entrepreneurship. And I just love it. It's incredible. So why now? Well, I'm turning 40 this week, and I decided it was time to stop waiting and just go for it. Launching this podcast feels like a gift to myself, a way to connect with mompreneurs and grow this incredible community. And really that's one of the things that has been so nourishing since I started this whole adventure. I actually decided to stop my agency and really focus on Hey Boss Mama because I see so much potential in it. And I already feel like it's so rewarding. Throughout this podcast, I'll be talking about topics that are really dear to my heart, from entrepreneurship to motherhood, marketing to mindset, time management to imposter syndrome, but also things that are more nitty gritty and raw. I'll also be interviewing other mom entrepreneurs. Some have already figured it out and share their struggles, their successes, and how they've basically found their balance. Other mom entrepreneurs are still in the motions, trying to figure out what works for them now. But all of them have the same kind of spirit. They're ambitious, they're driven, they want the best for their kids and their families, but they also want to feel accomplished as business owners and as women. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Hey Boss Mama podcast. If you enjoyed it, connect with me on Instagram and let me know what topics you'd like to hear, or if you'd like to join me on the show. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join the Hey Boss Mama Facebook group. It's where we share, support, and cheer each other on. So until next time, Boss Mama, you've got this.